Weir. This is Tara, my manager. As I don't have a whole coaching team up here with me today, she will be my better half for my press conference. But to start things off, I'm very excited to return to competition. We announced it last week in New York City. I am excited to get to work. I've already been on the ice with my coach, Galina's Nieskaja, since the fall, really, and quietly, secretly getting myself ready, whether it was in the middle of the night training so nobody saw me come in, or first thing in the morning before anyone had their mascara on. We've just been working quietly and trying to see what my body's actually capable of as a 27-year-old gentleman. And I am hopeful for everything. I'm hopeful for the future. I'm hopeful for great success coming through competing again and kind of gaining more confidence in my competitive career. When you are preparing for the Olympics and it's really the only thing that you have in the world is going to the Olympics or winning a medal at a World Championships, it seems like the biggest, most aggressive thing you can possibly think of. But now that I've taken 2 years away from competition and I gave myself the time to eat and get fat and be happy and run around and do whatever I wanted, whether it was write a book or record a song or get married, I gave myself the freedom to do those things. And now that I'm coming back, it's in a completely different mind frame as I realize that figure skating, while it is huge and while it's the biggest part of my life for the most part, it isn't everything. So I can come back to competition without the pressure of my entire future resting on one performance or 1 2-minute stint in front of the judges and in front of the cameras of the world. My comeback is purely for personal gain. Whether I'm first or 18th place in a national championship or a world championship, it doesn't matter. I've achieved so many things already through my career, and this is basically for me to feel beautiful. This is kind of a vanity project. I want to get back out on the ice and be thin and beautiful in amazing costumes with music and having people excited to see me standing in center ice and ready for me to accomplish something, whatever that may be. So while this comeback is important for me to kind of push figure skating into more of the public eye again, we've obviously been in the lull, as you all know. People don't really watch or come to events, and I don't know why, but I have a quite high public persona for a figure skater, and I hope to use that to bring attention to the amazing talents that are in this sport, the people that work every day for this sport. And that sounds pretty PC for me, but my time for an Olympic medal may have passed in 2006. 2010, I thought I deserved one and didn't get one. So this is kind of just to put figure skating back on the map with pop culture again. And that's something that I feel like I'm in a very good position to do, and to get people to watch and to be here and to be excited about figure skating again. So that's my opening statement. And I welcome all and every question.
And what is your take on what's figure skating then? It's in a lull, but quality figure skating and never putting out
Luckily, I've been busy, so I haven't had lots of time to sit down and watch on television. But I do watch on YouTube every chance I get to see my friends compete and to see what's actually going on in the world of figure skating. So I am coming in a bit blind, especially with my commentating job for Ice Network tonight and on Sunday. But I think the quality of our skaters is impeccable. I think the ladies are pretty stacked right now in Asia and Russia, and the Americans have a bit of work to do to catch up to the rest of the world. The men are good, but we don't have the star quality right now. We don't have somebody that's out there that will beat Patrick Chan or will beat Zhenya Plyushenko or beat these people. Whether it's a political thing or just things come in and out of fashion. And it's easy for me to sit here and say that, but they do. One year I was winning my Grand Prix and expected to win medals at the World Championships, if not beat Yevgeny Plushenko one year, and then at the Olympics, people beat me that fell down, and and all of a sudden I wasn't in fashion. The way I skated wasn't interesting to the judges. So it's really hard to say what judges will want to see. I think Jeremy Evans done a great job of kind of carrying on where Evan and I left off. I'm very excited to see what skaters like Adam Rapon, Jason Brown, and Brandon Morose are able to do. I mean, it's an incredible thing what Brandon did this year with the quad lutz, and that's great for the progression of our sport. But as far as a full package in America right now, we don't really have it, in my opinion.
What were your expectations of actually skating? You, 2 years ago, before you retired, your hallmark really was just beautiful sprints, beautiful jumps, and it's like gummy man when you were on. Being away 2 years, can you come back and reach anything close to that?
Absolutely. And if I see with my coaches, and I'm definitely smart enough to know when my time is definitely over. If by the end of the summer or the beginning of the fall, I feel like I'm not at the level that I know I should be to compete, then I know it's time to hang up the skates. But even in just the last 2 weeks, I've made tremendous strides with Galina on the ice every day, and I think it's definitely possible for me to get back to a place where people think of me as a threat, and people think of me as somebody that can take a top position in competition. I'm not a dumb person. I'm not going to throw myself out in front of the cameras of the world and being judged if I know in my heart that I'm not good enough to be there. And I've been in this sport long enough that I can definitely make that decision for myself. Artistically, just by performing in shows all over the world, and luckily I'm one of the few Americans that does get invited to perform literally all over the world, whether it's doing a tour in China or Japan or Russia, I can go anywhere and do everything, and that gives me a lot of artistic freedom. So coming back, while this judging system is insane and crazy and in many ways really ridiculous, I can artistically improve on where I was. And technically I can as well. But again, my body's old. I'm 27. But my body's probably the same age as any of these boys competing today, as I didn't start skating until I was older than they were. So in that way, I'm on the same playing field. But I just feel like coming back, I'm a lot stronger mentally, and that I'll be able to surpass wherever I was.
Do you have any, three unrelated questions? Do you have any promises or guarantees on USBB skating activity, you know, the Grand Prix or on the moment what you win? That's one. I'm going to give you all three.
Okay.
Two, you say you're older, Virginia is getting older, and it's hanging in there. And three, even though you say now you're not so old as that big push for the Olympics, but how much does the fact that the Olympics are going to be a part of that act as a motivation for you?
One of the main motivations for my comeback is the fact that the Olympics are in Russia. It would be a beautiful, beautiful way to end my career with my final performance being in a place that's pretty much inspired my entire career. And, you know, Sochi is a very important place to a lot of my family, my coaches, my choreographers. Everyone goes there for health vacations. The difference between Yevgeny Plushenko and I is he fights like a dog to win. I am not like that, and I've never been like that. So that'll be the competitive difference between me and Yevgeny. No matter how, he'll be 50 and still be fighting to win whatever it is he's doing. And I really respect that he's at Europeans. He is competing. He's right there in the top 3 after the shore program, and he's come back with a product that may not be better than his best, but he's come back with a product that is competitive and is relevant to figure skating. And wait, now you got me sitting in my soapbox. What was the first thing we were going to talk about? U.S. figure skating has actually been very open to to my comeback, and we've been talking to them for quite some time about this possibility. Even as early as last year after the national championships, we sat down and had conversations, and they've been supportive, but they've also made sure that I understood that no one in U.S. figure skating gets special treatment. I may have to qualify through regional and sectional competition to simply return to the national championships next year in Omaha. And I'm not even paying that much attention to what competitions I could get assigned to, simply because it's irrelevant at this point. I have to get programs, I have to work, I have to make sure I'm competition ready before I expect to be out there. There are definitely no assurances, and I'm absolutely 100% prepared to be treated the same as everybody else. It doesn't matter what kind of pop culture status I have, this is sport. It's completely different from the world that I've been living in for the last 2 years, and I expect to be treated no differently.
Johnny, can you talk a little bit about the judging system? You just mentioned a minute ago how crazy it is, and obviously we want to know for your artistic freedom and the way you express yourself in the guys. And the system is obviously geared more towards rewarding watch and understand the technical aspect of the sport, especially for tennis. I was wondering how you, first what you think about it, and how do you think you'll be able to be competitive in the circumstances?
It's a really difficult plan to make now with the judging system, simply because it changes at the beginning of every season, it seems. And that usually happens in June when people have their choreography and they're completely preparing for competitions already. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is that, again, things come in and out of fashion. Right now, Canada is obviously very politically strong in singles figure skating. Patrick Chan can fall down 4 times and still win by 20 points. If people were worried about a tie in Salt Lake City, if people were worried about fixed judging, then it's quite evident that there's still a lot politically going on behind the scenes that we aren't privy to. So really, it's not about the rules and trying the quad and doing this and doing that. It's coming back, and if the judges like me for coming back, great. If they don't, because I'm me, then they don't. It's not going to matter what I do. I would love to sit here and say, yes, I'm going to be the Olympic champion in Sochi, and I'm going to be a proud patriot of the United States of America, and I will win. But it's not true. Even from Vancouver, I could see that politically I wasn't very liked at that Olympic Games, or I would have had a bronze medal or even 4th place, in my opinion. So the judging and the judging system, to me, it's a lot of hot air. They try to make it as complicated as possible so that you can't see what actually goes on behind closed doors. You can't actually see this person talking to a judge in the ladies' room, locked in the stall, saying you have to do this. And things like that happen in figure skating. I've been in it a long time. It's true, things like that happen. And the judging system is just smoke and mirrors. But to be competitive, you have to somewhat play by the rules, and I'm prepared to do that. I learned how to do a whole footwork sequence on one foot, and do a quadruple flip with my finger in my nose, and my costume, doing complete change while I'm in the middle of the air and turning from a swan into a deck of cards or something. Whatever I have to do. Set fireworks off out my ass, I don't care what I have to do. I'll try. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I try or not. If judges like me, they like me. If they don't, they don't.
Talk about the grudge you have against judges. What specifically have they told you, specifically after Vancouver, about the way you skate? Did they say, what exactly did they say? Was this just your perception?
That's the thing. They don't really tell you anything. You'll hear little things from certain people. I remember at the Olympics, I actually wrote it in my book, and I was almost very much in trouble for it, but it was the moment of my life, the free program in Vancouver. I did everything that I worked from age 12 to age 25 to do, and I accomplished it all in that 4 minutes that I was on the ice in front of the world. And at the end, I was just so proud and elated and happy And I couldn't get enough of that feeling. It was just the most amazing high that you can't recreate in any other way. And then my marks came up, and I knew going into the Olympics that most likely a medal wasn't in my future. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out who is liked and who isn't. It's not difficult to see that kind of thing at all. And I remember I left the kiss and cry area, and the entire arena was booing, and I had a crown of roses on, and Galina was making fun of my roses, and we walked backstage, and I was, not crying because I was sad. I was just started bawling because it is such an emotional toll that preparing and competing in Olympics takes. I was just exhausted, and I was standing behind a curtain, and somebody came up to Galina, who was kind of standing guard to make sure nobody knew I was crying. And they said, well, I wish we knew he was going to skate like that. I wish we knew beforehand if he was going to do that.
Judge said that?
A high official, that, someone. And why should it matter if they had known that I was going to skate a certain way or compete a certain way? It should be a fair sport where you're judged on what you do that day. And that's what people in figure skating have been saying forever. But I don't see it changing in any way. Luckily for me, America embraced me. The amount of times I've been congratulated by just people that I meet on the street every day, I get congratulated all the time for being the Olympic champion. And while that feels good and it's nice, I know that I did not win the Olympic Games. But luckily for me, America embraced me and the world has embraced me. But throughout my career, there have been many instances where I've been told little snippets of things. But that one was the worst. Just, I wish we'd known that he was going to do that to my coach. I wish we'd known that he would do well. Because then we would have done something. What are we going to do?
Well, you got to
What's the right way to do it? I was going to say.
Well, my hope, we're sitting down with U.S. Figure Skating while I'm in San Jose to kind of iron out all the details and how we move forward, where we go from here. My hope is that I would get a Grand Prix or even 2 Grand Prix. I'm not quite sure how the ISU is wording it this year, but for a comeback skater that's had a high world ranking before, I do think that there are exceptions being made. I mean, you can see with Evgeny Dushenko. But it's unclear. America is, one of the fairest countries in figure skating, and they want to give everyone a chance, and you have to earn everything that you do. And I definitely will compete a few times in the summer just to remember how to compete. It's not a show, it's not an exhibition. I can't go out and if I don't feel like jumping that day, just kind of stand in one place and shake my booty or draw attention to my hair. It's a competition, and that's something that I have forgotten how to do simply because I'm out of practice. So I need those competitions to practice, and also so the Figure Skating Federation can see what I'm up to, what I have going on, how prepared I am, how trained I am. But obviously the Grand Prix assignments come out earlier in the year, so if U.S. Figure Skating would like to put me into that pool, they'll do so. But if not, I'll compete in the regional championships in Hackensack, New Jersey, and then I'll compete in the sectional championships, wherever those may be. I feel like they're always in Jamestown, New York, for the eastern section.
The question was, is he eligible for 2 or to have an old comeback rule? And it will depend upon everybody else, and not just U.S. Figure Skating Association.
Well, yeah, the other federation has to select me, which, I'm confident. China, Japan, Russia, they're 3 of my strongest fan bases, and I know that if I'm put into the pool and I am eligible to compete in 2 Grand Prix, I know that they will want me there.
We would all be able to need you to go through qualifying for that.
Yes. So if I do compete in the Grand Prix, then
If they fell on a date.
if they fell on certain dates, it's all very confusing and complex for me. I skate and design pretty costumes, really. That's for her to figure out. Tired of doing that.
Talking about judging, you know obviously what figure skating's like. So you managed to build a life the last 2 years that's pretty full. You just got married. Why come back and go through all of this again?
Well, that's the thing. It's not for a medal. It's not for judges that I would come back. It's not for, winning an extra few gold medals in the Grand Prix and then a world medal. It's not about that. This comeback is for me. This comeback is for me to compete and feel great and feel like I can do this, like I can accomplish something. Throughout my whole career, there was just so much stress and so much buildup for every event that I wasn't able to enjoy it. Now I can come back and completely enjoy it as I have a life. I had the opportunity to build my life and to build my roster of things that I'm capable of doing outside of ice rink. So I don't have the pressure of this being, you either win the Olympics or you work at Home Depot. I'm not having that moment right now. I've built a life, I know what I'm capable of, I know what I can do. And this figure skating thing, this competitive figure skating thing, it won't define me. I have a great history in the sport, and my comeback won't be for judges or medals, it'll be for me and my fans. And basically, since I came off the ice in Vancouver, my fans have been like, come back, because they all knew I would, well, they all assumed that I'd be done. And everybody's been pushing me to come back and try it and see what I can do, because that is one thing that I've seen since the Olympics, is that people take so much inspiration from sports figures, and they take so much inspiration from what they watch on TV. And for some reason, a lot of people come up to me and they say, wow, that was just the coolest thing, and it inspired me to do this or to do that. And that's a nice, warm, happy, fuzzy feeling that you get when somebody says something like that to you. So I want to give people something to cheer for.
John, how would your performances change without having that pressure, feeling like you have to strategize for a gold medal? Now that you have the freedom to do what you want to do, what might we see next season?
Well, I said it in my press conference last week, and I'm sorry that not all of you could attend. It was fun. We were in a basement theater in New York City. It was pretty glamorous. But I'm trying to find a way to mix Lady Gaga and Carmen. And I don't know if that'll actually become something or if it's just a random idea that I've been having, but I'm trying to find a way to be me and do the things that people enjoy seeing me do in exhibition skating and apply that to competitive programs. I have found, especially in the last few months and even last summer, that I really do like performing. I love figure skating and I love being in front of people. And it's easy to forget that when you're competing and have the pressure of all that. I love standing out there and sparkling and flying around the ice and doing jumps and have people clap for you. It's an amazing feeling. So if I can tap into that sort of enjoyment and that creative vibe that I get when I'm doing shows, I think that's something different you'll see in the competition. It won't be, and now I'm doing this 3-turn because it's 0.2 extra points, and now I'm doing this change of edge because it makes the level higher. It'll just be a little bit more free. That's what I would expect.
You say you've been on for a few weeks?
Well, since the fall. I mean, obviously, I've been working a lot outside of ice skating, so when I can be on the ice, I have, and that's why we started very slowly with Galena, but the last few weeks especially, we've been doing an everyday regimen like always.
Can you tell us anything about what level you're at right now?
I can do all of my triples and triple combinations. We're working on fresh spins, fresh positions. We're working on my edge work, because that is something that, it's strange, it's something that suffered. It's something I was always known for, but when you don't skate that often and you just show up and do a show, your actual skating skills sort of go away. So I've been relearning how to skate properly and not stand and pose and be Lady Gaga for a minute. I've been relearning how to use my feet and use my edges. And that's been a very weird thing because it's something I never really had to think about. But now with, doing one half of a step sequence on one foot and all of this stuff, you have to relearn how to use your legs in that way. So that's been the main thing. In addition to jumping and spinning, the biggest thing for me has been relearning how to skate.
He's quite good on the quad
Galena is very strict that come March, when I've lost enough weight not to injure myself working on quads, that's when we'll start to work on the quad, and it's just a natural thing. I have to include it in the competition and learn how to do it. And again, there was so much pressure before leading into competitions that I wouldn't try it at the last minute simply because I didn't want to fall down and lose. Now I can try it, and I've already said to all my fans and the press of the world that this is going to be a slow comeback. I'm not going to come back and be number one right away. So that gives me some comfort in the fact that I can fall down and people will still push me forward, kind of like they did with Malasada last year. She was relearning her technique and relearning a lot about her own skating, and you can't go forward unless you go back first. And that's something that inspired me a lot because she was in a very public place competing still and letting herself make mistakes because she knew ultimately she would be better. So a quad definitely will be in the competitive programs as long as I can I can do it. Galena's already warned me though that if I get pregnant, then I can't do quads because I'll be too fat.
John, you touched on it before earlier. Can you evaluate Abbott and kind of how he's been doing, some of the inconsistencies he's had throughout the years?
Jeremy Abbott, beat me and Evan the last 2 years that we were competing against him in the national championships, and I think he's a great skater. He combines things. I mean, I would much rather watch Jeremy Abbott than Patrick Chan, to be honest. He is beautiful on the ice. He's very smooth. The way he connects his elements is really, it's always interesting. And even when we do the shows in the summer, he's already practicing new ways to connect his skating all together. And that's something that I admire in his skating and just his softness and fluidity. But much like me, he's had a very up and down career, and my hope was that after Evan and I were out, he would be the face of men's figure skating. And this year he's done very well, and he's been trying quads again, and really, he really impressed me the few performances that I saw. And for me, I think he's definitely the favorite of this championship. So in short, he's good.
So, talking about being fat and wanting to shed, I mean, are we talking ounces or pounds? Because I walked by you and you look really skinny.
Well, I'm wearing all black today.
I should have thought of that.
I probably have between 6 and 8 pounds left to get off, and it's just because my whole career I was very thin, and that's how I feel comfortable skating and jumping. I don't want to break my knees. I mean, look at all the knee and back problems people have if they are carrying a little bit too much muscle or too much extra weight on them. So I prefer to be thin, as do my coaches. They prefer me thin. And it's more of a safety thing than a vanity thing. I just want my body to move and be comfortable and strong, yet not have the impact every day of landing on my ankles when I'm a little too heavy. But I'll look good too, so it's kind of a win-win.
Consider the skate what would you consider the signature competitive success?
I don't think that there was any signature moment that was my success. I think the fact that while I had a very up and down career and I never really materialized into the great world champion from the United States that I always wanted to be, and I think a lot of people thought of me, while that never materialized for me, I think the biggest strength that I had was as hard as I could get knocked down and as hard as I could fall, I could always come back. And I could always come back stronger and smarter and better. whether it was between 2003, where I ran into the wall and embarrassed myself in front of the entire country on national television and withdrew, and then came back the next year and won the national championship, whether it was that, whether it was changing to work with Galina Zniewskaja and Viktor Petrenko between 2006 and 2007. After 2006 was pretty much a terrible season and the worst that I had. I came back stronger and better, and I think that is my competitive strength. I think that's my signature. But Vancouver for sure, and the short program in Torino. The short program in Torino, and my 3 national titles and the Vancouver Olympics were definitely those standout moments when I look back at my career that have a flash through in my brain. I think Patrick Chan's talented. I think his quadruple jump is beautiful. There's a lot of great things in his skating. I just always learned from when I was 12 and started to skate that if you fall down, you probably shouldn't win a competition. So it's more the politics surrounding Patrick Chan, I suppose, that I dislike more so than his skating. I think he's a brilliant skater. He has to be. He's a world champion. And I respect that, and I respect him as a skater. There are certain things that, aren't my favorite things to watch. I think he could stretch a bit more. I think his hands and his feet are a little bit sluggish at times compared to how quickly he skates and how quickly he moves around the ice. But it's more that it's funny because the Russians were always kind of vilified for playing politics and doing things behind the scenes, and always, still, nobody really trusts a Russian skating official. But when you fall 4 times and you win, or you fall 3 times and you win, it's clear that there's something else going on. And that's what bugs me. Nobody else has a fair shot at Patrick Chan's in the same competition. But Patrick is a nice guy, and he's a great skater. But to me, it's just kind of tainted. I mean, I too would like to fall down and still win things.
And finally, when you're looking at competitions, let's say if you do get a Grand Prix going ahead, would you still perhaps just do a regional or just do a bit to compete, and then also would you consider maybe a skate Detroit in July?
In my mind, there's a competition every year that happens at my training center, at the Ice House in Hackensack. It's called the Moran Memorial Trophy. That is, I believe, at the beginning of September, and then the Middle Atlantic Championships are just an invitational in New York City. I prefer to stay in my home area just because it's easy.
So it would be probably September would be the first competition, right?
Yes, unless U.S. Figure Skating expects me to compete and perform for that time, but it has been a while since I've competed, so I'd like to take advantage of all these summer competitions. And now there is these invitationals have a lot more people competing in them all the time because it is where the United States Figure Skating Federation will watch them and see how they're doing and the progress and assign them to different junior Grand Prix and Grand Prix, and they've become a lot more important. Well, I'm going to talk tomorrow to the Federation about that, and I would like one of the senior B competitions, whether it's, those also have become more important with the ISU points and bonus money at the end of the year. Those are more important. So competing in Finlandia or Nebelhorn or Zagreb or Nice or Dortmund, wherever it may be, I would like a chance to get out there internationally too.